Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. And it's time for our weekly track roundup. My thoughts on some brand new songs and singles, whether I loved them or hated them, they're all linked down below. Along with our Turntable Lab link, we get kickback from that. If you buy some vinyl or turntable stuff, whatever it is, again, it supports the channel and everything that we do. What also supports us down there is our Patreon page link. Get some awesome bonus monthly content in the process of supporting us for a super cheap tier. Check it out. See if it's something that you'd be into. Get access to our Discord community too. Awesome. Worst tracks of the week. Let's go. Let's see what they are. We have this one from Timmy Trumpet. Camelot with Smash Mouth. Now I'm kind of throwing this in here because Smash Mouth is in the mix. It's kind of like a really tacky piece of EDM pop with of course those classic Smash Mouth vocals. I think that it may be of interest to some of you guys to check it out. Maybe try it, even if it's just out of morbid curiosity. But it's not great, but it is interesting. We also have Oliver Tree, who has come through with a deluxe version of his album, and really like all the additional tracks on it are not that great, especially this one over here, Swimmer's Delight, SOS. It sounds like a bad version of 21 Pilots. It's like 19 Pilots. I have no idea what the heck he's doing on all these bonus tracks. The bonus tracks are not nearly as good as the core tracks of the record, so that's kind of unfortunate. We have another single from Modest Mouse, which is absolutely disappointing. Leave a light on. And I don't know what it is with Isaac Brock's dedication to making bad electronic rock and pop on these tracks that he's teasing us with so far, but it's not going well. It's not going great, in my opinion. It's not going very well. We also have a new one from Green Day, Pollyanna. It sounds slightly better than anything off of Father of All Motherfuckers, and that's good. But it does sound like a bad version of like some 80s new wave pop rock, kind of like the Cars, something like that, but just a totally intolerable version of that. We also have Eminem, Killer remix with Jack Harlow and Cordae, both of whom are fine on the song, but Eminem decides to back end the track with a flow that I could only describe as like sounding like the vocals that you hear at the end of a drug commercial with the side effects and everything. It's absolutely like not interesting, non-musical, and annoying to the ear. I just don't really get the appeal at all. And it really has nothing to do with the content of what he's saying. Just the sound of his voice on this track is obnoxious, and that's really all I can say. We have a new one from Cochise over here, Snot on the track as well, who does okay on the song. Really my gripe with the track ultimately is that the more that I hear from, Cochise, the more that I am convinced he's really just a Cardi clone, and there's really nothing else to add beyond that. From the production to the flow to the vocal inflection, it's pretty much just like Dial-It era Playboy Cardi, but slightly less interesting, I guess. It's just Cardi clone. That's all. We have a new one from Blueface, which is shamefully boring. Patience. I have no patience for how boring this song is. Blueface's flow has absolutely no character or personality to it whatsoever. Doesn't really come through with his usual quirky offbeat style or anything like that. Just a lot of drab auto-tune, and there's not really much else to say. We also have a new one from AFI. Another teaser from their forthcoming record, Tied to a Tree. And it's trying to be brooding and atmospheric, but it just ends up sounding hollow, boring, and totally tedious. Verses are awful and drag on forever, and the vocal harmony passages are just a little overwhelming with the reverb and obnoxious. I just don't really get the appeal at all. And we have 88 Rising over here coming through with a brand new summer smash that is a total snoozer. In my opinion, way too much reverb, way too sleepy. Just there's no flavor or bite to it at all. We need a summer that goes hard this summer, and this will not be the soundtrack to that, at least for me anyway. Some people might want an easygoing summer. This one's not going to be for me. Yeah. All right, meh. Tracks that I was kind of on the fence with. Not amazing, Not terrible, but I thought they were certainly worth a shout out. We have a new one from Rebecca Black over here. She dropped a single the week before this week. Worth it for the feeling. It's a little too touched up on the vocal side, and there is a lot of reverb kind of soaking up the mix, but it is overall a pretty good tune. It's got a nice, almost vintage kind of groove to the production as well. Give it a try. Give it a listen. Rebecca is doing her thing out here. We have a new one from Poppy over here, where she is going in a fiery, distorted pop punk direction on this one. Is it as compelling or as exciting as like the metal stuff? Not really, but it's still a decent track overall. Fear of Dying is the title of it. We have Juice WRLD. Now, there is a new deluxe edition of Goodbye and Good Riddance out, and a few, kind of new tracks and versions have kind of arisen as a result of that, including a remixed version of Lucid Dreams that features Lil Uzi Vert, who does pretty decent on the track, but I think when their voices intertwine on the back end, and there are some weird like instrumental switch-ups that are totally unnecessary, kind of ruins the vibe of the track a little bit. I mean, Lucid Dreams, it's a classic. I just prefer to listen to the original, honestly. We also have a Gang of Four cover from Idols, which I think is pretty fitting. Now, Damaged Goods is one of my favorite Idols, not Idols, but Gang of Four tracks. But I don't know if Idols' very chunky, heavy approach to the whole thing is like the most complimentary way of going about coming through with a version of it. But still, it does have that rage that you expect from an Idols song typically. Check it out. Next, we have a track off of this upcoming DC Comics compilation that we talked about recently. Mastodon has a track on it, and now Chelsea Wolfe has a track on it. It's brooding, it's atmospheric. Is it one of my favorite tracks she's ever done? Not necessarily, but it's still got that classic Chelsea Wolfe vibe to it, and considering the direction musically they're moving in so far, she seems to be definitely fitting the bill for this comp. And we have At the Gates, who has another single, another teaser out. This one over here, The Paradox, I felt was a bit of a paradox personally. Instrumental kicks ass, but the vocals on this one were kind of rough to the point where, I don't know, it turned me off to the song entirely. They've had better vocal performances on songs for sure. Let's move on to the best tracks of the week. Quite a few to go over here. Actually, just a handful, really. First, I want to give a shout out to a track off of this new DMX album. Obviously, a posthumous release with a lot of producers and guests coming together to kind of fill in the gaps and just kind of make the whole thing come together into a cohesive project in memory of X. This one over here that I want to point to is Bath Salts featuring Jay-Z and Nas. There are some real bangers and meetings of minds on this record, and this track is certainly an example of that. Next, I want to point out this new Zeal Ardor track, Run. My God, is it heavy, menacing, and fantastic. One of the best songs I've heard from this project so far. Just loving this band's approach to metal. And am excited to hear what this kind of builds up to in terms of a record. The EP that got dropped last year at some point, I believe, was totally killer, and pretty excited to hear again the new record. New one from Yola, Stand For Myself. It's a little country, it's a little soul, it's a little rock. It's got some great vocals, a good tune as well. Kicks ass. Can't wait for the new record. Excited. We have a new one from Haru Nemuri over here. It's very sweet, poppy, and fuzzy. It's got a very kind of thick, almost droning sort of mix. I like the bright vocal passages and embellishments that are laid throughout the song. Definitely one of her more unique tracks. Give it a try. Give it a shot. We also have Big Freedia coming through with her own version of Judas, and my God, is it a banger. Man, it is so zany and colorful and off the wall and has that great, big, booming Big Freedia energy. Loving it. It's great. It's fantastic. And shout out to Alice Longyu Gao for coming through with this new single featuring Alice Glass, legend. My God, is this track a banger? Goes hard as hell. Production is eccentric. Production is colorful, and the vocal interplay, or rather chemistry between Alice and both Alices on the song Alice is great. And I love the really aggressive auto tune and just a shrill vocal tone on Alice's voice. Certainly it serves as a reminder that she is kind of proto hyperpop in many ways, certainly. And definitely check this track out. It's killer. And yeah, that has been the weekly track roundup, everybody. The weekly track roundup. Those are the songs I'd like to push toward you this week. Make sure to check them out down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Anthony Fantano, Tracks of Forever.